And now, a special interview with Mr. James Cleverly, UK Minister for the Middle East and North Africa.
And welcome to another special interview. Our guest today is His Excellency James Cleverly, UK Minister for the Middle East and North Africa at Foreign Commonwealth and Development Office. Your Excellency, honored and happy to have you with us today.
Oh, thank you. It's lovely to be here after I've been hoping to travel here for the best part of a year, but I'm here now. The welcome has been fantastic. I'm really enjoying it.
Awesome. Your Excellency, I know this is your first official visit to the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. Let me start by asking you also about the bilateral relation between the Kingdom and the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia and the Kingdom and the United Kingdom as well, of course. They had a historical relationship. How do you evaluate it also, and what is your hopes for the future for this relationship?
This is a very, very strong and long-standing relationship between, as you say, the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia and the United Kingdom, and we've worked together over many, many decades on a number of issues, and I think the relationship is strong, very, very strong. As I say, the welcome I've received has been fantastic. And we've been talking about new things that we can work together on more closely in the future. I think the Vision 2030 programme is very, very exciting, and the UK is very keen to help the Kingdom deliver on that agenda. We're talking about trade opportunities, about education opportunities. So the relationship is in a strong place. But it seems to me that there is every opportunity for it to be stronger still.
Your Excellency, the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia also recently launched the Saudi Green Initiative and the Middle East Green Initiative. The plan is to create over 50 billion trees, of course 10 billion here in the Kingdom, something which will be great, I imagine, for the environment, for climate change as well. What is your view on this? Specifically, yeah.
Well, I think that the statement that the Kingdom has made about its commitment to a sustainable, green, environmental future is very welcome. As is often the case with the things that Saudi does, it was a very bold and impressive statement of commitment about the billions of trees being planted, as you say, both here in the Kingdom and in other places as well.
Sure.
Our Prime Minister is passionate, and as the hosts of COP26, the Environment Conference later on this year, we're very keen for our international partners to be bold with their commitments. And I have to say, the appetite here in Saudi to be imaginative, to be creative, to be bold on the green agenda is really impressive. And I think the world will take notice. Because the country is famous for hydrocarbon economy and oil production, when it makes this commitment to a green future, I think people will really notice and be very impressed. And we're very happy to support the delivery of that green agenda.
I'm happy to hear that. Actually, let me go also to my second. You spoke about a bold society also, and developments, and the energy that, of course, the Saudis have. We speak about Vision 2030. Of course, it was launched 5 years ago. Recently, also, we celebrated its 5th anniversary. His Royal Highness the Crown Prince did an interview also and spoke about many important topics concerning, of course, local here and internationally as well. Let me get first of all your view on this vision. The development, the social part, the economic part, the reforms, the changes. I'm sure also not only seen but touched.
Well, as you say, this is my first official visit, but I came in a private capacity in 2017. And at that point, of course, the Vision 2030 document was still very, very new. And I remember looking at this thinking, wow, this is a bold plan. And if perhaps a third of it ever gets delivered, that would still be quite impressive. I now come back a few years later, and as you say, the vision's been around now for 5 years. And the pace of change, the things that I have seen change and improve over those few years has been really impressive. Yesterday I spoke with a number of Saudi businesswomen, and they were talking about the changes that they've experienced in their life. I noticed just, I think today, the announcement of women being able to serve in the Saudi armed forces, the commitment to get women in not just business but also in government ministries. And I think this is just one, and I know that's only one of a number of areas of reform, but it's really impressive to see that rate of change. It's really positive to see that the commitments made in that document are being delivered and delivered at pace. And the social reform, the economic reform, I think these are very, very positive steps. And the fact they're being delivered at such pace, I think is really, really positive. And we're very keen as the UK to help make sure that His Highness the Crown Prince is supported in the delivery of that reform and incredibly important evolution of the kingdom.
Great to hear that. Let me go to my next also file. Let me speak about the current situation in Yemen. Of course, the current situation in Yemen has been going on now for about almost 5 to 6 years. The Iranian-backed Houthi militia, of course, their behavior also when it comes into targeting civilians here in the kingdom, civilian objects, one of the most holiest sites, which is of course Mecca Mukarramah. Oil tanks as well, of course, which the effect of it is not only locally, but globally, of course. The kingdom produces over 9 million barrels a day, will have a huge impact on the global economy. How does the UK see that behavior also as well?
The situation in Yemen is one that the British people, the British Parliament are very interested in and very concerned by. We see images coming out of Yemen which are heartbreaking. We very much welcome the Saudi commitments to ceasefires, which have been announced periodically, and I think a lot of British people, myself included, find it frustrating that the Houthis have not engaged with the peace process in a way that we would have liked. We see reports of drone attacks coming into, as you say, civilian infrastructure and civilian locations within Saudi, as well as the offensive around Marib. And this is a real concern. I had a meeting just yesterday with the Yemeni Foreign Minister. We discussed the Riyadh Agreement. We discussed the work that the government of Yemen has done to try and drive forward the peace process. And we do regularly call upon the Houthis to put down their weapons, to engage meaningfully with the peace process, so that we can start working together to rebuild Yemen, get Yemen to a place where it has food security, where there isn't conflict. And this will remain a priority for the British government, and we will keep working to support the humanitarian efforts, which I know Saudi is heavily involved in. But also to try and drive the peace process forward.
Your Excellency, of course, the Iranian interference, of course, and influence in Yemen, of course, using the Houthis to try and target civilians here as well. Don't you think that the solution probably is with Iran and not with the Houthis?
Well, we have regularly called upon Iran to be a good neighbour, to cease their destabilising activities in the region, to stop supporting militia groups and terrorist organisations, and to I think evolve into being what could be a wealthy, influential, safe regional neighbour. But the opportunity to do that will mean that they need to step away from this destabilising activity. And we've said this directly to the Iranians. I say it in the British Parliament. And there is absolutely a peaceful future for Iran in the neighbourhood, but the choice is theirs.
Okay.
The choice is theirs.
Even with the current negotiating, of course, for the nuclear weapon program with the US.
So the international community are very committed, including the UK, very committed to Iran not having nuclear weapons, and that will remain very much a priority for us. But we also recognise that there are other activities that Iran takes part in, as I say, destabilising activities, support for militia groups in a number of countries, where we can't ignore that behaviour. Whilst we discuss the nuclear file, we can't ignore these other things.
Exactly.
And so we will make sure that we firmly and consistently say to Iran that this behaviour is unacceptable and this behaviour must also stop.
Speaking about Saudi traveling to the UK, which is a place I always love to go and I admire a lot, of course, the people and the beautiful cities over there. I want to ask you about the visa process, right? For a UK citizen to come here to the kingdom, I think it takes around 15 minutes through e-visa to finish the process. On the other hand, the Saudis, I'm not saying it's it's hard, but the process of the visa. Will we see any update, any change in that part?
Well, as I say, we're very conscious, and perhaps if anything, COVID has reminded us how important it is, not just for British people to travel around the world, but for the world to be able to come and visit the UK, whether it be for business or pleasure. And so we've been really reminded of that. We're looking at modernising and updating a number of processes, including the visa process. I'm conscious that, and I thank you for saying, it's not too bad, but I think technology could help us make it even quicker still. We very much welcome visitors from the kingdom. There's been a long-standing tradition of Saudis coming to the UK, and we love that, and you're very, very welcome. And we will always explore ways of making the whole visa process, easier and quicker.
Actually, let me ask you a question also regarding the media, right? Why do you think sometimes the media, especially in the West, portrays Saudi Arabia in a way which is inaccurate or untrue, or information is not sending right? When they mention the kingdom, sometimes information, I'm sitting home watching, I'm like, where did they get this information? Unfortunately, it's big names. I'm not only, of course, naming the UK, but I'm speaking about the West in general. Why do you think is that?
It's difficult to say. Trust me, I'm a British politician, and there are times when I look at the media reports of what I do, and I get frustrated. So you're not alone. I have to say that. I think there has been a tradition for Saudis, for the kingdom as a country, to be, I think, quiet and to be a bit reserved. And I think sometimes, historically, less so now, but I think historically, Saudi has not really shouted about itself. It's not really spoken about itself. It's been quiet, it's been discreet, and it's been quite private. And therefore, a lot of the conversation about Saudi, about the kingdom, has been initiated by others. Sometimes that's been positive, but sometimes negative. And I think increasingly now, the willingness of the country and Saudis in general to be more open, to talk more about themselves, to explain their situation, explain their motivations. I think this is a positive thing. I think the more people that visit Saudi will be pleasantly surprised and realise that there is a difference between the Saudi that exists and sometimes the Saudi that's been portrayed. And when there are difficulties, and every country has difficulties and challenges, being willing to put your side forward, to explain your side, I think is important. And we're seeing more of that, and I think that is positive. But I think cultural exchange is a big thing. The more people that visit Saudi, meet Saudis, experience the reality, I think that will be a positive thing.
I think now we have a very attractive also base. You got Neum, you got the Red Sea, and many nice projects, also places to go and enjoy and have fun. Before I end our interview, Your Excellency, I want to ask you one last question also. What is your main goal, let's say, also when it comes into main task, let's say?
Well, I think demonstrating to both British people and Saudis that we really value this relationship. It's as I say, it's a strong relationship. It's a long-standing relationship, and I know Saudis love their history. The British love our history, and that's great. And history has a really important role to play in society. Mm-hmm. But I think the big message we're putting across is we're thinking about the future. We're thinking about what happens next. We're thinking about the Saudis' green agenda. We're thinking about the educational offer. We're thinking about the tourist offer and the cultural exchange. And the message that I would put across to anyone watching this interview is that we're thinking about what the future holds, and we're positive about the future. We're going to work closely with you about delivering that positive future. And for me, that's the big message that I want to put across. And also a big thank you for hosting me in this trip, because I've really enjoyed it.
It was my pleasure. I was honored. Well, I want to thank you actually for accepting our questions, and making my job very easy today. So thank you so much, Your Excellency. I wish you all the best, and hope to see you soon.
Shukran, shukran jazeelan.
Shukran. Thank you.